Ted Wilson, General Conference of Seventh-day Adventist President, a global mission pioneer in Thailand, a church planter in the United States, and a writer who has traveled the globe gathering the best mission stories. All that and more coming up next on Global Mission Snapshots.
Just before he went up to heaven, Jesus gave us a command. He gave us a mission. Jesus said, "Go. Go unto all the world, telling them of His love." This is our mission. This is our global mission.
Hello and welcome to Global Mission Snapshots, where we take you around the world to visit frontline mission. Every Saturday or Sabbath, Seventh-day Adventists around the world focus on mission, and they give mission offerings. And every 3 months, the church focuses on special initiatives called the 13th Sabbath Offering Projects. But they're really just a small fraction of the breadth of Adventist mission work taking place around the world. There are so many exciting things happening, and if it weren't for people giving their mission offerings faithfully each week, we wouldn't be able to see the wonderful things happening in education, in hospitals, clinics, media, church planting, and so much more. And so today we want to share with you an exciting story about urban mission. The mission challenge of the cities is growing fast every day. Today the vast majority of people live in cities, and we as Christians have traditionally tended to focus more on rural areas, in villages, on islands. But now, as we focus on the cities, we need to find more and fresh and creative ways with which we can touch people's lives for Jesus through a comprehensive approach to evangelism. So let's visit a pastor in North America and see how he is touching lives by following Christ's method, by mingling, by showing sympathy, ministering to needs, by winning confidence, and then bidding people to follow Jesus.
I was asked to come into the city of Cleveland and plant a church, and I was told that you need to live in the community that you're going to plant a church. Many pastors don't even live in the communities where their churches are. So I live less than a mile from this place. I live in the community. I shop and walk the streets and get engaged in this community. People know me. And what we do here won't work everywhere. I know that. You can't take and replicate this in New York City or in Atlanta, Georgia. Most of the people that I minister to here would not fit in a traditional rural, small town Adventist church. These people are low education, low income, been on social services all their lives, and you are not going to turn them into a middle class, educated Seventh-day Adventist. The people that I'm ministering to don't get it, and they won't get it just because I come in and give a health seminar or an evangelistic campaign. They need me to walk alongside of them. But I think that what we're doing here, at least in Cleveland and in the area that I'm familiar with, is reproducible. And it is effective. Now, as far as baptisms and all of that, this is a long-term ministry. Have we gotten baptisms? Absolutely. I've gotten, over the last 4 years of doing this, about a dozen baptisms that where people have come to me and said, I want to be a part of this. And so we take them through, and Eric is a great example of a person who came in off the streets, a person who was an alcoholic and destitute, who was homeless, and he was impacted by our compassion, not by our theological acumen. And today he is just an amazing example of what can happen if you spend some time and you care about these people.
Yeah, and I remember when I asked Kevin to baptize me. It was, I don't know, it's just when first time I shook Kevin's hand, it was, there was just something there. There was just something about this place that kept wanting me to come back. And I'm glad I did. Like I said, it's, I don't take any credit for my sobriety. It was all God. Wasn't me letting God in and doing for me what I can't do for myself, I wouldn't be sober today.
I was in church one day during the week working on some things, and I noticed it was in the winter. There were some people out front at the bus stop. And I asked them if they wanted to come in for a hot drink and a pastry, because I had some leftover pastries. And that's how the breakfast ministry started about 2.5 years ago, was just simply inviting some cold people at the bus stop to come in for a hot drink. From that, we ended up with our breakfast ministry, which is now 4 days a week. We want to make it 5. We get from 10 to, today we had 35 people show up. Coming in, we serve them a hot breakfast. We try to serve them a healthy breakfast. Saturdays, we still serve a community meal. On average, we have about 1,000 community members who walk through the door of our church every month. Do people have a dependency on us because of our services? Yes, to some extent. But they know us by name. When people come in today for the food pantry, and I'm walking around, people are calling me Reverend or Father or Pastor or whatever. They know who I am and they know what we are. They know the name Seventh-day Adventist. They are not turned off by it. They're not offended by it. They frequently take our literature. We give away cases of literature a month, because at our foyer we have this literature rack of all kinds of Seventh-day Adventist literature. We give away all kinds of Signs of the Times magazines. People know us. They connect the logo and the name, and they're reading our materials. And people are taking it because they want it, not because we send it to their door and they throw it away. They're coming in and reading our material, and the reason they're doing that is because they've got a relationship. They put a face and flesh and bones to a name, Seventh-day Adventist. And yeah, we have a great reputation in this community.
I have a flyer up here in case any of you are interested. We're starting Bible studies on Wednesday mornings after breakfast. It's open to everybody. So we'd like to invite you to grab a flyer.
You are not going to break into those communities, do a big event, and then just drive out. And if you've got a lot of people driving in, coming to that church, you will never make the connections in the community that we have done by being here, this ministry of presence. And that's the mentality or the message of ministry of healing. Jesus' method alone is that you have to walk alongside these people, and some of them for quite a while, to build trust, confidence, so that they can listen to what you have to share.
It's my pleasure to introduce our guest, Pastor Ted Wilson, President of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Pastor Wilson, thank you for joining us.
Great to be here.
Medical evangelism, why is this an important aspect of Adventist mission?
Well, comprehensive health ministry is something that Jesus participated in a very dynamic way when he was dealing with people. The Lord was able to touch people in many different aspects of life. In fact, it was a full or whole approach to the person, physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually. That's why Seventh-day Adventists are so interested in all those areas and are interested in helping people to grow educationally, trying to help them in physical well-being and to be well-adjusted people socially and certainly spiritually connected with the Lord. So we want to use those approaches as Jesus did. And in the scripture, in the little tiny book of 3rd John, there's only one chapter in that book. In the 2nd verse, it says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, just or even as thy soul prospereth." So there's a real connection between being physically healthy and spiritually healthy. And I think as we view the world today, there are so many challenges that people are facing, and much of it, as you observe people, has to do with the way they live, the stress they're under, the fast pace of life, the food that they eat, what they drink. All of that has to do with how they will react in a productive manner for their life and how they relate to others and how physically they are able to actually exist as human beings. Because our mind is part of our body, and there's a very sympathetic connection, if your body is not in the best condition possible, then your mind is also going to in some way be affected by that inhibition that the body is producing. So that's why Seventh-day Adventists are so interested in good health, because we want to have a clear mind. We want to have healthy bodies so that we can live life and live it to the fullest, you know, and the Lord came to give us life and give it more abundantly. So in terms of trying to help people, especially in big cities and areas where there's a lot of pressure on their lives, in order to try and help them, we want to use comprehensive health ministry as part of comprehensive urban evangelism and evangelism anywhere, whether it's in a rural area or in the city. Health is a huge component that helps people to be able to function better and to live better. And we're told that the health message, comprehensive health ministry, is really the right arm to the gospel. It's not the gospel, because the gospel is salvation in Christ through His grace and His shed blood for us, and what He's doing for us in the most holy place in advocating for us as our attorney, so to speak. But the health message is a way in which to reach people and help them to think clear and in a more positive way, to be able to live life and to live it more abundantly. So that's why we're giving such a tremendous emphasis to that. And people all over the world are very interested in better health. In fact, in some places you have people moving faster and further ahead than many Seventh-day Adventists who know this precious understanding of good health. Other people are moving way ahead, but they're not quite sure why they're doing it. And certainly, good health is something which can provide us with clearer minds in order to be in contact with Jesus.
Elder Wilson, what plans does the church have to put this into practice? I know we already have hospitals and clinics and health ministries, but how are we going to do it in a comprehensive way? What plans are in place?
Well, there are a lot of interesting plans that are being developed to try to reach people and provide programs that will enhance their living, stress reduction programs, programs that will help them to stay away from tobacco and other addictions, cooking classes that will help them to eat better, family-oriented activities that will help them to be placed in a better frame of mind, know how to relate to each other better, all kinds of different programs. But one of the ways in which we're hoping to pull those programs together is to make every local Seventh-day Adventist church a health center for the community. A place where people can say, oh, you want to know about how to live better? Well, go talk to those people down there on such and such a street. They know exactly what they're talking about, and they can really help you. Those Seventh-day Adventists have a lot of good information, and they're very friendly people. They're good people. So we're hoping to be able to provide a lot of practical information that church members can use. Yes, we want pastors and health professionals working together in a blended ministry, as we're told in the Spirit of Prophecy. That's very important. But the ultimate importance is to have every church member involved in some kind of practical health outreach to people, because everyone can share with a neighbor how much better they feel if they walk 2 or 3 miles a day, if they drink 5, 6, 7 glasses of water a day, or 8 glasses. You don't have to prescribe anything. You don't have to be a health professional to do that. It's simple health intervention, just in a friendly, neighborly way. We're told that there's more religion in a loaf of bread than you might think. It's not only the act of making good, wholesome bread, it's the act of giving it to someone. And then that bond is established with a friend or a neighbor. And that bread, just good whole wheat bread, may actually lead someone to understand that they need the real bread of life. So it's all mixed in together because it's Christ's method.
Fantastic. Elder Wilson, thanks so much for sharing with us today.
Great privilege.
Welcome back. My guest is Charlotte Ishkanyan, who for many years was editor of the Mission Quarterlies, editing and writing stories for children, for adults, collecting thousands, I guess, during that time, Charlotte. And I'm interested today to talk about some of the Global Mission pioneer stories that you've encountered, because you've met many pioneers.
I have.
Did you ever estimate how many countries of the world you've visited?
I haven't counted, but it's close to 140.
Okay, so that's a lot of mission projects you've visited. Now,
Yes, it is.
Now, when you visit pioneers and you see them in action, how do they affect you? What's your response to that?
Well, you know, the one thing I noticed the most is that most pioneers are converts themselves. They have discovered the beauty of following Jesus, and they're on fire for God.
Mm-hmm. And usually under very challenging circumstances.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Now, Charlotte, I always ask you for a story, so tell me a story about a pioneer.
Okay, I'd like to introduce you to Nado, who lives on the border between Bhutan and India. He is Bhutanese. Now, Bhutan, for those of you who don't know, lies between northern India and Tibet, or China. It's a mountainous country, but it also has some very warm valleys in it. It's a beautiful place. Well, Nado and his clan of people, his tribe, lived in those mountains, in those foothills. They were farmers, and they were eventually chased from their land because they were cutting down trees to farm on government land. That was their means of livelihood. And so they fled into northern India, where they set up a small village up in the hills to live as they had lived for years. They had no modern conveniences, just simple homes that they made with their hands. And one day, most everyone in the little village became ill, and Nado's family got sicker and sicker. And Nado went to the local priest of another religion, and that priest said, "You must sacrifice an ox and some other animals to the idol." Nado didn't have the money for this, and so he gave up and decided, I guess we're just going to have to die. That night, he had a dream. And in this dream, he saw a man dressed in white pointing to a pathway. And the man said, "If you follow that path, you will find health and peace and happiness." Now, when Nado awoke, he didn't know who that man was, but he sensed it was God. Later, he met some Christians who told him, "God is calling you," and they introduced him to Jesus. Now, the nearest church to where he lived was several hours away, and so when he could, he and his wife went to that church. They loved God, and they learned to worship in a certain way, but Nado felt that something was missing. So one day, when he went down the mountain to the village where he needed to go for supplies occasionally, he met a man who gave him a tract, a pamphlet. He stuffed it in his pocket and decided, "I'll read this on my way home." And on his way home, he took it out and he began reading. And it was all new to him. It was about something called the Sabbath. And he thought, "I've never heard of the Sabbath before." And the pamphlet explained that the Sabbath was not Sunday. So when Nado went home, he looked up in his little Bible every text he could find. And that was not easy for him because he didn't know his Bible. But he looked up every text and found that this little pamphlet had truth that he had never heard before. So he prayed that God would show him greater truth. The next time he went down the mountainside to that village, he found the man who had given him the pamphlet and asked him to come teach him, what is this about God? And so the man came and taught Nado and his family, and they were baptized. But they didn't keep a secret what they were learning. They taught everyone in that village, and in time, every member of that village, 9 big families, became Seventh-day Adventist Christians. And then they had a new problem. They have big families, And here were 49 school-age children without any way of going to school.
Right.
And so his friend from the village came into that little town and told Nato and his family, we can probably help you. There's an Adventist school about 130 miles away that might be able to take your children. Today, all 49 of those children from that Bhutanese village on the border with India are studying in an Adventist school. And Nato has this to say, and I'm going to quote, there aren't many Adventist Christians among the Bhutanese people. I'm glad my children are going to an Adventist school. There they're learning to be missionaries. They will be the people to take the gospel to Bhutan. Now today, Nato is a global mission pioneer. He and his family and some of the other villagers have led 20 more families, 250 people, to Jesus Christ and saving grace because of what he believes and what he has learned from a dream and a pamphlet.
Wow. Now, Charlotte, you met him in person?
I did.
Describe him.
Wow, he's probably around 40, 45 years old. Very, very simple man.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years of education he has.
Not seminary trained.
Not seminary trained, but a gentled person, gentled by the influence of Jesus on his life.
Now, do these pioneers get paid a wage?
If you can call it a wage, it's a very small stipend. He still farms with his fellow villagers, still farms. He helps to lead the church in that area, just the small membership that they have. But he gets enough to help him buy the supplies he needs to lead others to Jesus.
Wonderful. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Let's go back to Southern Asia to see more mission in action.
About 2 hours outside of Thailand's capital city, Bangkok, lies the town of Sriracha. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is growing here. This is a global mission pioneer, a church planter, dedicated to sharing God's love with the people in this area.
ที่จริงเราทุกคนที่เกิดขึ้นมาในโลกใบนี้นั้นเราเกิดขึ้นมาเพื่อพระเจ้านะฮะ
This global mission pioneer and another Thai pastor visit people in their homes to teach them about Jesus. This small group is just a handful of those interested in studying God's Word. Many who attend these small groups are not Christians. They ask questions because in their hearts they see the truth of the Bible and want to know more.
When some Buddhists they are interested and would like to learn more about Christianity, actually we feel so very happy. Even they not so much, but just only 1-2 people only, but we feel like they are interested, and we thank God that.
Not long ago, this church and community center were built in Sriracha. The global mission pioneer and church members reach out to the community in various ways. They run language classes, play soccer, and hold Bible studies, and people have responded positively.
We would like to provide this place for the community here around the people here that they are non-believer, and then we would like to serve the congregation by having school, having the soccer ball field, and also at the same time we have a center to service the community.
Seventh-day Adventist church members around the world help fund this church and community center. These buildings have a great impact on reaching the needs of the people in Sriracha. Just a few hours from Sriracha, in the city of Ayutthaya, another recent project funded by your mission offerings actively works to reach the community. Ayutthaya is a city known for its ancient temples and vast history. Here, centuries ago, the Burmese armies destroyed this city, leaving behind remains of destruction. Now, the church here is growing. The project here is a church building. The church here is creating a foundation of members. On this Sabbath, the pastor leads in worship and the members take part in the service. It is a special Sabbath because on this day, they will participate in communion service. Members humbly wash one another's feet and pray together. As they re-enter the church, their thoughts are with God. The members ask God for forgiveness and courage to serve Him each and every day. They eat the bread and drink the juice that represents the body and the blood of Jesus. This congregation has a passion to serve God and share Him with others. This congregation would not have a place to worship if it was not for your faithful support of mission offerings. People all over Thailand are eager to learn about Jesus. With the help of Adventist pastors and global mission pioneers, they will come to know Him. Please pray for these small projects located throughout Thailand, and thank you for your support of the mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church through your 13th Sabbath offering.
It's a wonderful thing to see global mission pioneers in action. We sometimes say that pioneers are Adventist mission's best kept secret, and they shouldn't be. Global mission pioneers are local people who commit years of their life to plant new groups of believers in unentered areas. They receive a small living stipend, and then they go and they live among the community so that they can reach out to people and share Jesus. As we focus on the cities, our dream is to send more global mission pioneers into city neighborhoods to establish centers of influence and to share God's love. If you'd like to learn more or to support Adventist mission work around the world, visit adventistmission.org. There you'll find so much information, pictures, videos, stories. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Gary Krause, and I hope you can join me next time right here on Global Mission Snapshots.